a blind girl has to set her dream of being an expert skier to the side. When she takes up a job to stay in someone else's house, she's going to need a friend to help her with the trouble that will visit her there. We see Sophie Scott getting ready to go somewhere while a skiing program plays on the TV. She then turns it off and starts walking along the house quietly with her luggage. We see that she is blind. When she gets downstairs and is about to leave, her mother asks her what she's doing. Sophie tells her that she has another gig and needs to go. Her mother then wants to drive her and they argue for a while. But then the taxi arrives and Sophie leaves the house. Near the taxi, her mother asks Sophie to hug her before leaving and she does. Then the girl gets in and they ride. As she rides for a while, her mother calls her. Sophie tells her that she's almost there and then fakes losing her signal, which ends in her hanging up. When they arrive at the place, Sophie asks the driver to direct her to the front door. He does and she walks that way. A lady, Deborah, then greets her and welcomes her inside her house. She tells Sophie the security system code and that she's flying away. Then she mentions that she just got out of a divorce. That gets followed by a brief explanation of how to take care of the cat. Deborah also keeps wanting to show Sophie where something is located, but Sophie keeps assuring her that she'll find it. Then the homeowner leaves and Sophie puts a collar on the cat. She then calls a man on a video call and shows him the interior of the house. He describes it to her and continues to do so as she enters other areas of the house. After that, he helps her walk downstairs. Sophie opens the doors in a dark hallway and eventually enters the wine cellar. In there, she takes a bottle and tells her supporter, Cam, that Deborah won't miss one bottle being gone. But Cam tells her about the immorality of her action and adds that if she walks out with it, then he's done with her. That leads to them arguing for a short time and then Sophie ends the call. After that, she sits on a bed and listens to messages. She deletes many of them. Then as she walks near the entrance, she gets a call from someone and instantly says that she put it back. But it's Deborah that calls her and she questions what Sophie put back. Sophie answers that it's nothing and Deborah wants them to arm the security system together. Sophie then comes to it and arms it for Deborah to hear. Afterward, the homeowner ends the call. Later, Sophie stands outside for a smoke and the door locks behind her. She tries to open it but cannot. This prompts her to download the See4Me app. When she does, it connects her to someone. But the person does not offer the help that Sophie wants and so she hangs up and tries another one. We then see a girl playing a shooter game online. After losing, she gets a call on her See4Me app. She takes the call and connects Sophie's phone view with one of her monitors. She then looks at what Sophie shows her and advises her to call the police. But Sophie does not want it that way and that brings her helper to walk her elsewhere. Eventually, she directs her to a sliding glass door. It is locked, but the helper instructs Sophie how she can get it to open. She struggles with it for a while and then gets it to open. In doing so, the security system sets off an alarm. Sophie manages her way through a room of plants as the girl keeps directing her. Soon enough, she reaches the security panel and disarms it. She then thanks her helper and the girl introduces herself as Kelly. After the phone call, Sophie saves her as a priority. The next scene has her watching a skiing video in bed. Then as she sleeps, we see a man looking at the house from a distance. He radios someone and says that they are good. Later on, a car rides to the entrance. A man then enters the house and quickly places some device to the security system to disarm it. Then he brings another person with him inside. Meanwhile, Sophie awakens and starts sitting in bed. One of the burglars takes a painting off and sets it on the floor. Sophie then walks along the house and activates the cat's collar. One burglar notices the beeping and starts searching the house. As Sophie keeps looking for the cat, the man keeps on his search. When he is about to find her, a noise comes from the other room and he gets distracted. We then see a safe get revealed. The burglar comes to the other one and Sophie hears them talk. She gets startled and drops a vase to the floor, which the burglar hears. Sophie then picks up her phone that she dropped and leaves. And the man walks to the shattered vase and sees it. As Sophie enters a room, she calls 911. The operator tells her that it will take time for help to arrive because of her distant location. Then she uses her app. We see Kelly in her home, getting ready to eat pizza. She hesitates to answer her app, but then she does. She discovers that Sophie called her and she tells Kelly of the situation. The helper tells her that she should stay hidden and allow the people to take anything they want. But Sophie tells her that they might be looking for her. She tells Kelly there are at least 2 of them present. Then the man walks by her room and she leaves. He later finds her belongings and realizes then that he and his partner are not alone there. Kelly continues to direct Sophie along the house and tells her she sees a man in the foyer. Sophie then attempts to run to the door and the man stops drilling. This prompts the girl to hide nearby. Then the man comes to the one that's drilling. He confirms to him that someone is in the house. He follows that by making a phone call to someone else. After the call, he tells his partner to keep drilling. Then Sophie runs again and Kelly sees her run into someone. A third man catches her and turns her phone off. We then see how Kelly loses her connection with Sophie. The man grabs her and tells her to stay silent. The drilling man asks him what he's doing. And then all 3 of the burglars stand there. One of them calls their boss and tells him that she called 911 already. He tells them to let her go and the man drops her. He then asks them who she is. And Sophie says that they should take what they want and she won't tell anyone. But the one who found her says that she's seen their faces. Sophie replies that she is blind. Then one of them shows her ID to the boss and he reads her information. It is revealed to all of them then that she isn't lying. That causes the boss to tell them to leave. As they argue about going versus staying, Sophie tells them that she could do it. She says she will make the cops leave, but she also wants some of the money they're trying to take out. They hesitate about accepting her statement and question whether or not she will change her mind. But she assures them that she does similar deeds to theirs by telling them to check her bag. When they do, they find the wine bottle she took from the cellar. They then call 911 and Sophie tells the operator that she made a mistake. But Sophie is told an officer still needs to come there to check on her. It is required by law. We then see Kelly talking to someone about Sophie and her situation. She found her online and tells the person to check every department in Sophie's area. After that, the officer comes to the house and talks to Sophie behind the front door. She then asks to be let inside. Anxious about it, Sophie tells her the homeowner does not let her open the door to anyone, but the lady states she's an officer. So Sophie runs out of excuses and opens the door. The officer, Deputy Brooks, comes in and starts searching the house. After a while of searching, she finds and questions a loose panel. Then she says it's a fire hazard. When Sophie tells her she will let the homeowner know about it, Brooks heads for the exit. At the door, she then whispers to Sophie if anyone is really there or not. We see Sophie hesitates to answer but then denies that there is. When Brooks is about to leave, Sophie's phone rings. A burglar brings it to the counter and Brooks comes in again and retrieves it for Sophie. As it keeps ringing, she asks the girl if she's going to answer it. When she does, she discovers that it's Cam. She quickly ends the call after that and then Brooks starts leaving again. At the door, she gets a call from another officer, who informs her about getting a call from Kelly about the home invasion. The other officer then tells Brooks that Kelly saw a burglar there through a video call and that she spoke to a blind girl. At that point, Brooks has enough information to confirm there is a problem. She re-enters the house and readies her gun. One of them then comes out and she handcuffs him. He says that it was only him in there, but the officer asks Sophie if there are any more. Sophie hesitates to answer but then states there are 2 more. As she says this, another one comes in forcefully, but Brooks shoots him. It does not bring him down, however. They fight and he brings her to the floor, where he starts choking her. She struggles and then loses consciousness. When it is over, the other 2 complain about what he did. The handcuffed man says he wants to be set free. He then tells the driller, who he calls Dave, to get back to the safe. Sophie then calls Kelly on the app and tells her that they ended the officer. She follows that by saying she is getting out of the house. When Sophie starts walking outside, Kelly tells her it's too dark to see. Sophie falls a few times while running and then asks what she should do. We then see her back at the house. She walks into something and falls. One of them hears it and starts walking in that direction. He takes a knife from the kitchen in the process. Kelly helps the girl pick up her dropped gun. Shortly after, Sophie says she hears the man in the room. Then with the help of Kelly, Sophie stands and points the gun at him. She tells her to shoot, but Sophie does not. So the man keeps slowly coming at her with the knife. When he walks faster and almost gets to her, she shoots him a few times. The man outside heard the gunshots. After that, Sophie's phone reports being at a low battery. When she leaves that room, the other man comes in with an axe and sees his deceased partner. He searches the house and then Sophie surprises him from a room and shoots him. It does not bring him down, though, and the phone receives a poor connection. The man then stands and Sophie fires at him without the aid of Kelly. This causes her to miss. Afterward, she hides in the wine cellar and the man slams his axe at the door. Soon enough, he enters and strikes wine bottles as he tries to hit the girl. Then the connection returns and Kelly helps Sophie shoot the man. She does so a few times and Kelly confirms to her his demise. She follows that by telling Sophie to collect his radio. When she does, she rests next to him and her helper tells her to breathe. Then she says that Sophie should just keep camping there because there is only one left and the police are coming soon. In that moment of resting, Sophie confesses to her that she agreed to work with the burglars and wanted some of the money. Meanwhile, the drilling continues. Dave then radios the others, but Sophie hears it instead. Kelly then tells Sophie what she can do. After that, Dave tries unlocking the safe while talking to his boss. Then Sophie locates him from behind and Kelly sees him. The girl fires but misses. This scares Dave, causing him to duck. Afterward, he pleads for her to stop, but Kelly tells her not to listen to him. Dave says that he would not have come to the house if he knew that she would be there. Shortly after, Kelly loses her connection completely with Sophie. Sophie then tells Dave that he should not move and that they wait for the police to come. But the man moves towards opening the safe cautiously. This prompts Sophie to yell at him, but he tells her that he's just taking his share, while the rest is hers. He then runs to another section and stops when she tells him to. He looks at the gun on the lying officer. After that, he tells her that he's getting on his knees. But when he collects Brooks' gun, Sophie shoots him down. After that, his phone rings and she answers it. The man asks if the job is done and Sophie tells him it is. Then she comes to the safe and takes some cash. We then see a fourth man enter the house. He walks along and comes to the safe. Then he yells out to Sophie if she wants her cut of the money. He states that she earned it and he's not even mad at her. He follows that by saying she's not a witness but his partner. After that, he closes the safe and says he's calling the police. When he calls, he pretends to be a scared victim. Then it is revealed that he is the one that Deborah divorced. And he says that he can't steal what's already stolen. Following that, Sophie enters a room where she shuts off the power in the house and all goes dark. The man then says to himself that that was a mistake for her. He walks searching for her with his flashlight. We then see her run in the dark, In the kitchen, she throws something to distract him. When she gets up, he shoots her way. Soon after, we notice she is wounded. After a while, she makes her way to a phone and tells it to redial. It calls the man and gives her his position. At that point, she gets up and fires in that direction. He shoots too, but they both miss. After noticing she is out of ammo, Sophie starts walking away. But he comes behind her and brings her down. Afterward, he starts choking her. But she grabs hold of a nearby bottle and hits him twice with it. He comes off after that. And then she beats him repeatedly with it. After she finishes him, she cries and we hear the police coming. Much later, Sophie is in a wheelchair and her mother is there helping her to move. She then surprises her mother by telling her that she's coming back to skiing after her recovery. Her mother seems proud of her, but wonders how they will pay for the training cost. Sophie then smiles as she holds her backpack, implying that she took some money and that it's there with her. The final scene has Kelly calling her on video and seeing where Sophie is located. Sophie is in a snowy area, getting ready to ski. We see that Cam is with her. He then puts on his eyewear and tells her whenever she is ready. She follows that by putting on hers and getting ready to go downhill.